What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with a Game 3 and 4 edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks here in the MLB streets for the divisional series. That was a mouthful. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. We hit that Mets money line right out of the gate. That was nice. Had some strange like 5-6 cent move against us where it got to like plus 100, plus 102 there on the Mets side. Didn't make me feel uncomfortable because, again, the public ended up on the Phillies there to some extent. That was strange to me. Weird to see that money coming in, but Sean Manaea is an absolute goat out there. Aaron Nola, it's weird to be picking on him in the postseason, but hey, man, Grimace Mets, these are controlled environments here. Well, it was a rocky environment there for the Phillies. Didn't get the bats going whatsoever. We'll talk about that spot because I've had a change in my opinion on that because the numbers just dropped. That's why I'm able to record here. 3 of the games I have lines for. Dodgers, San Diego, making some assumptions. We'll still talk through that game because I think it's very important to Landon Knack going to be getting the ball for the Dodgers. Dylan Cease, it sounds like, for the Padres. But if you want to know all of the updated plays all of the time, Lindy50 gets that done for you. 50% off of all of my picks. In fact, 3 picks, 3 of them on this video already got dropped into tails before I started recording. That baseball game starts in, 15 minutes here for the Dodgers, Padres. So I'm going to get myself flying so I can go watch that one and obviously pay attention to bullpen usage. But 50% off first week and month using Lindy50. Get the daily picks, get the premium Discord, talk through it, throwing in pick'em cards. Ended up having one here for the Dodgers and Padres game as well. So that'll be fun. So without further ado, though, friends, producer Jacob, hi, hello. Let's get to the picks. From the get-go, the Detroit Tigers making us work for it a little bit here. Alex Cobb getting the surprising start, I would say, for the Cleveland Guardians. Now, Alex Cobb's been everywhere. We've seen him most substantially, I think, in San Francisco, where he had some no-hitters, had some ridiculous outings at times, and was pretty good. But Alex Cobb has all of 3. Yes, you heard me. 3 starts in the big leagues here. Cleveland gets it done with their bullpen. We know that. Tried and true. That's how it operates. Tanner Bybee, he gets the ball every once in a while. They got a great outing out of Matthew Boyd and obviously still couldn't convert it because Tariq Skubal is an absolute GOAT. Should have jammed that under, but you know what? It's just hindsight's 2020, but yeah, should have jammed that under. 6 still where it was at closing. Whatever. Talked about it on the lean. Hopefully a couple of you guys were able to take advantage of that, but I was not. That sucked. But I've had a really good postseason. Part of that is just being able to run some of these numbers for bullpens and also not letting recency bias take hold. Also been taking a lot of plus money shots on money lines, and that's been working out very nicely for us, or playing the quote-unquote underdog in some spots. But when you're talking about minus 104, I would call that pretty negligible. But I'm looking at a team total here, actually. I will say, shout out to Kyle Kerms. I go on his channel and show up on the Monday show in the MLB. I did for the last couple of months. If you don't follow him, he's nearing 100K subs. Get my guy Kyle Kerms up to those 100K numbers. He deserves it. Hardworking guy over in the YouTube streets for the people. But he got me on the Kansas City 3.5 team total, if you guys tuned into his show there on Monday. And that was a nice addition to my card. Ended up pairing nicely. Sal Perez ends up going yard. We have a really nice time there. But I'm looking at Riley Green up against Alex Cobb. I don't know how long this guy is going to be pitching for. I gotta think because he hasn't shown up since, I had the date a second ago, the 1st of September. You know, he was just kind of floundering. It's not like he was just sitting on his butt eating popcorn, but like 2.76 ERA, 1.04 whip. That's all of 3 starts. The thing Alex Cobb does is he prevents the ball from getting in the air. He's an extreme ground ball pitcher. He is giving up more power to the lefties here, and that's where I think there's at least a buy low candidate at plus 750. We have the wind blowing out, it looks like, tomorrow in Detroit. Not a great ballpark whatsoever for home runs. Maybe Parker Meadows can do something, or maybe somebody else. But Riley Green, I look at this guy as somebody who's just due for positive regression. 490 expected slugging during the regular season, 47% hard hit. And Kerry Carpenter, he was your hero in that game 2, coming back 1-1. Every series entering game 3 was 1-1. First time that's ever happened in the divisional series. I thought that was pretty cool. But Detroit team total over 3.5, just going to be a lean for me. Want to kind of get an idea of how many pitches I think Alex Cobb's going to be going. I put him in at 12.5 here for the time being. I don't know what to make of that number. There's so much volatility to it. I'm going to see what the marketplace comes out with because they still don't have his outs number, mainly because, Detroit, I should at least kind of, glance over this one because I just was talking with producer Jacob, making sure that we got the right pitcher. I think it's going to end up being Herter. I think that ends up being the guy, Brant Herter. He'll probably just be a bullpen arm. He can go a little bit further into some of these games. We saw him 29 pitches, 53 pitches in his last 2 outings. I think he'll probably get the ball to start, and we'll get that extreme Detroit game. And they're just trying to set this up. Sneak one of these next two, get Screwball on the mound. And yeah, that looks like a good idea. By the way, that was Riley Green plus 750 for the home run. Put a quarter unit on it. I have the break-even number closer to plus 670. You're going to be running into a lot of bullpens. And again, I want to see how many times, maybe 2 at-bats that you're going to be getting for him up against Alex Cobb. Anywho, you don't care about that. Let's talk Phillies and Mets, because this just came in here. Watch the end of that game. We had some unbelievable baseball yet again. The New York Mets, I'm very happy with this team. 1, they got rid of the Milwaukee Brewers, so my life got a lot simpler. And 2, we've now backed them twice in this series, and, well, they've won both of them for us. So I really like these Mets. And the good fortune we've had backing them in the game 1, backing them in the game 3. I think we're going to be running it back here. I just got my play in, and I think we're just gonna be backing here with it. It's Ranger Suarez going up against Jose Quintana, and shout out Sean Manaea, because the big thing for me is being able to put some bubble wrap, absolute bubble wrap on this bullpen. You ended up using Phil Maton, who he's been down a little bit over the course of the last few outings. You also had Philly utilize some lefty pen with Alvarado being utilized there. Got hit up for 2 runs in the process there. But Sean Manaea gave them a lot of length. And now we're getting a plus money number, even money number on the Mets at open. Phillies are going to do everything they can to win this bowl game, including, if they have to, put Zach Wheeler out there in a situation where, you might get 1 day off in between, and then you're going to be taking them out for game 5. Or I don't know what to make of it, but all hands on deck, because you got to win this game or you're going home. They're going to go home anyway to play game 5, so I guess that's not the right analogy. But Ranger Suarez, Jose Quintana, pair of southpaws. Ranger Suarez has not been very good here of late. Feels like there's a lot of volatility in that arm. And Jose Quintana, it's not my favorite back in the entire universe here, but he's at least left-handed, which neutralizes a little bit, even though Schwarber, they talked about it on the telecast. He got after some lefties this season, much, much better numbers. But still, 38.2% hard hit, 6.7% barrel percentage. Ranger Suarez also limits some of that hard hit, but a 251 expected batting average for him. I kind of like backing the Mets here, knowing that you get Diaz full rest. Like that alone for me, knowing that you could get an 2 innings out of Diaz if need be there in that 8th and 9th inning, and turning it over to him. And the Mets, everybody else in their pen underutilized here, considering Manaea went 7 today. I love this play. I do think that this is probably my second favorite play on the entire board. I have a prop that's my favorite here at this point in time. And then Kansas City first 5 that we'll talk about here next. But I'll just throw a prop in here just for the heck of it. Ranger Suarez, I think the under of outs. I don't know where the marketplace is going to open this number at. Again, this is really, really hard to get a grasp on, and haven't fired any of these that I've been looking at leans on in the outs department. Talked about them multiple times, but I think this is the first time where Ranger Suarez, if he gets in a jam early, gone. Get out of there. Bring in everybody. Bring in the infantry. I'm curious to see where books post this number. 14.5 is kind of where I'm thinking it's going to get thrown out. We're going to get some hold on both sides of it, but I'm very intrigued by it. I will be firing that up in tails if I end up making that play, or, hit me up on X at Eric Lindquist. Happy to do that too. Ooh, Bet365. I should talk about that. Bet365, damn good find. Let me sock it to you one more time. Get low by putting just $5 in, getting yourself $200 in bonus bets. Wouldn't that be nifted? She naked, soaking wet. Yeah, bet 5, get 200, friends. You got Pennsylvania. It just went live. In fact, there's a bunch of states where it just went live. Producer Jacob, let's hit the little state graphic if we could. Let the people know. Colorado, Louisiana, Virginia, Kentucky, New Jersey, Arizona, Ohio, Iowa, Indiana, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Come on and raise up. Put your $5 in. Spin it around your head. Twist it like a helicopter. I screwed that lyric up. It's the first time I've screwed that one up. I'm sad now. It's only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. Halfway point. 2 more. Less party. I'm kind of sad because I realized this is probably our last 4-game slate of the entire MLB season. It'll be March until we get more of that. That makes me sad. But then the NBA starts on the 22nd, and I'm going to be heading to LA and going to, I'm going to be going to a little basketball game. The Timberwolves, you heard of them? My Minnesota Timberwolves playing the Lakers. Anyway, Clark Schmidt, Seth Lugo. Let's talk a little baseball, shall we? A little bit of seam. We got plus 102 here on the money line side for Kansas City, New York. Can't believe Clark Schmidt's getting this kind of respect here on the road. But this is just kind of a quiet, it's been pretty muted, pretty quiet New York Yankees lineup here. That game too, absolute shutdown stuff from my guy Cole Reagans. Once again, thank you, Kyle Kerms, for getting me on that over 3.5 team total. That felt good, in addition to the Sal Perez home run. But as we look at Schmidt, a couple of his numbers that stand out to me. 171 ISO against lefties. It's up there a little bit. Kansas City, they don't bring a lot of ammunition on the left side. There is one guy, my favorite play on the entire board that we'll get to here in a second, does exist from the left side. But for the most part, there's not a ton of power with Sweet Melendez and a couple of these other lefties, Kyle Isbell, that'll get thrown out there just for defensive purposes, batting ninth almost routinely there, sometimes eighth, and they'll put Miguel Garcia there in the 9 hole. But no matter how it rolls out, Vinny Pasquantino being back in this lineup surely gives them a little bit of lefty help against Schmidt to take advantage of that, because against righties, he's been much, much better in that department. 290 WOBA against them on the season, 293 expected WOBA. Those expected numbers against lefties, I repeat, 335 xWOBA, 351 actual WOBA. Gigantic type numbers we're looking at for Schmidt. As for Lugo, I want to back him. I don't love, though, the Kansas City bullpen going up against the Yankees here in some of these spots. They go lefty, righty, lefty, righty. You have power up and down the entire lineup. But I trust Lugo to go out and do some good things here in the early going of this game. 302 xWOBA, 396 expected slugging, ERA way down in the doldrums. In fact, if you didn't give the Cy Young to Tariq Skubal, I think there's a case to be made where Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans, those would probably be your 2-3 guys somehow if you don't go to Corbin Burns. But again, rip Baltimore Orioles. Seth Lugo, though, I like that he doesn't really walk a lot of dudes, 5.7%. I like that he's throwing a bunch of junk in the kitchen sink with the sinker, with the slider, the changeup, the curve. He has so many different pitches that you have to work through. And I think he's going to find whatever he needs to just limit the damage. Now, the wind is blowing out ever so slightly towards left field, 8 to 10 miles per hour tomorrow. I want to see if that's going to be going more outwardly, if it's going to be going across the field. But either way, I think Clark Schmidt's the guy who's the worst of the two starting pitchers right now. We for sure have the smaller sample size on him, and he's found some type of success this season. But Seth Lugo, this is disingenuous in the first 5 innings, to be getting minus 105 on them. Now, I know it's 7 cents worse than Kansas City, but it's worth it for me. So let me work it. I'll put my thing down, zip it, and reverse it. It's your perma difference win yet. We're not going to be playing the plus 102. I only want to be backing Lugo versus Schmidt straight up, because I do think the Yankees, that's going to be a little bit more of an issue. Oh, but my favorite play on the entire board, Michael Massey, plus 145 at Bet365 if you have availability to it. I have this at plus 140 at BetMGM. Just fine with that one here, too. The guy is just finding ways to be successful as the leadoff hitter here against righties. 262 expected batting average, only a 15.7% K rate. And I repeat, Clark Schmidt, 351 WOBA there, 2 lefties on the season, 14.1 degree launch angle. Not going to back his plus 650 homer. I don't think that that's a good bet, but his over 1.5 total bases, I am certainly here for this. Also, maybe a sprinkle, plus 250 on FanDuel, 2+ hits. I'm waiting for the other books to release those numbers. Lots of NAs over on the side of the screen, but you know what? We're going to work ourselves through this one, my friends. We got going in this one, Landon Knack most likely for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then you've got Dylan Cease. He lines up to take the mound here in this one. He got drilled in game 1 there, 5 earned runs. We talked about that one in depth, but a little bit different situation here, depending on how game 3 goes. Now, that game is just about to go to first pitch, like 2 minutes away. So I'm going to get myself out of here quicker and not waste too much of your time. But I want to at least talk about some of the things that I think might make Dylan Cease more successful here in San Diego as opposed to Dodger Stadium. 1, it was pretty hot. It was pretty warm there in LA for that game 1. You had a pretty good hitting environment with the wind blowing out. I don't know what we're necessarily going to be getting here. I'm seeing 2 conflicting things on 2 different spots. I go to windfinder.com and then google.com if you've heard of that one as well. I kind of like comparing the notes on both because the wind direction can be ever so slightly different. And it looks like it's going to be blowing ever so slightly across the field. It's strange because you have the ocean behind you. You generally get that wind blowing out to some extent. We've seen the par factors play up from a home run perspective here over the course of 2024, something with doors. I've seen so many different reports on that one, but there's no doubt that the long ball has been more successful here over the course of this season. Now, I think Dylan Cease is going to look a lot better, obviously, with that wind going across. And then if you have San Diego up 2-1, like I'm kind of expecting to have happen, I'm kind of hoping, obviously, I have money on that San Diego first 5 run line, but I'm going to be very, very intent to be backing San Diego on a run line yet again. When it rains, it pours here against these Dodgers. They have no bullpen depth here at the moment. San Diego's had the better bullpen. And then you have Landon Knack potentially having to come up. He has not had a ton of sample size here at the big league level so far this season. In fact, it's downright insane to me that he would be the guy that you're putting on the mound in a must-win Game 4, but I don't think they have any other options. And Landon Knack, 21-degree launch angle, 44% hard hit, 429 expected slugging. My God, I would expect some of these home run numbers for every San Diego Padre to look ridiculous if he, in fact, is the guy who gets the ball in Game 4. So pay very close attention to the news. Lots that will be determined here on the Game 3. So again, let's not waste too much time here. I'm going to lean San Diego on the run line. I'm assuming that if it's Cease versus Knack, you're going to have something priced if the Padres are up 2-1 in that -175, -180 range. Again, that's a lot of respect, but that's kind of what I'm assuming it to be. So I think the run line where we could move this into plus run territory and just say, hey, Landon Knack has a terrible first, second inning, gets shelled, they get to that bullpen early, and the Padres run with it. I think that would be the way to look at it. And Jackson Merrill, my favorite hitter basically on this Padres team, period, from the left side. Obviously, Fernando Tatis is the best hitter, but pricing-wise, 543 expected slugging, 373 xWOBA. This guy should be Rookie of the Year in the NL. You cannot tell me otherwise. And yeah, I get it. Paul Skeens mother truckers. He probably deserves it too. We should split that award in half, give it to both, and give everybody a participation trophy, right? Just kidding. Give it to Jackson Merrill. And that does it for perhaps the last 4-game edition of MLB Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell down there. Really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, it feels great to get so many views and to have so much interaction here on the MLB playoffs. If you want all of my plays, if you want to really chat it up with me, I get DMs every single day in that Discord. If you want to sign up for it, Lindy50, get 50% off all of my picks, everything at Tails down below. That's $10 for your first week, $25 for your first month. Bet365, we talked about them already. All right, I got to go watch some baseball, friends. Until next time, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Wednesday.